Start it all over again. Good afternoon. Special welcome to our Minnesota Aspirations in Computing interns, parents, providers, and supporters. Everyone in the room, in the chat function located in the lower part of your screen, please introduce yourself and your connection to one or more interns. I'm Russell Frankel, representing the Minnesota State IT Center of Excellence. In large part, the IT Center is in the business of technology pipeline development. To this end, this summer, over 90 of this year's Aspirations in Computing honorees have been afforded job shadow experiences, mentor connections, and internship opportunities. Today's showcase and celebration involves 15 summer paid interns. Special thanks to intern providers DataSite, General Mills, Land O'Lakes, the Minnesota Twins, Securian Financial, and SPS Commerce. Today, you'll meet each of the interns who will provide an overview and highlights of their work, as well as appreciation for the support they received. We're also going to hear from them what's in store for them. So students, if you haven't already built that into your presentation, at the very end, if you could let us know that. And if you forget, don't worry, I'll remind you. We're going to feature nearly half of the interns. Then providers will have the opportunity to provide suggestions and advice for the interns. And then we'll conclude with the second half of presentations. And folks, if you're out there, if you could mute yourself, that would be great. And what we're going to do is we're going to get started with one of our interns who's in an airport and she's getting ready to join her sister for a wedding. So congratulations to Aaliyah Peterson. And then also joining her from DataSite is Ariel Thunstrom. So come on down, you're going to be featured. I'll go away. Then you just let us know a little bit more about your experience this summer. Take it away.
Awesome. Could I share my screen?
Yes, just a second here. Yes. How's that looking now, Ariel?
I think go to system preferences. Sometimes Zoom does it. Yeah, there we go. You'll have to do your password. And then, so let them know you have to.
Okay, I have to quit and reopen to share my screen.
That's just fine. Take your time, Ariel. And Aaliyah, while she's doing that, tell us a little bit more about your trip to West Coast.
Sounds good. I am visiting Washington just for the week to celebrate my sister and brother-in-law's wedding. This is their second wedding reception, so it's kind of fun.
This is great.
Ariel, yay.
All right, there you go. Take it away.
All right, perfect. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect.
Sweet. Okay. Okay, hi everyone. We're super excited to tell you about our time at DataSite. So we'll start with some introductions.
Great. So my name is Ariel Thunstrom. I'm a recent graduate of Eden Prairie High School, and next fall I will be attending the University of Wisconsin-Madison to study computer science.
And I'm Aaliyah Peterson. I just graduated from Minnetonka High School, and this fall I'll be studying electrical engineering at Brigham Young University in Provo, Utah. And we're both software engineer interns on the productivity engineering team at DataSite.
Yeah, so a little bit about DataSite. DataSite is a digital center for deal making focused on improving the merger and acquisition life cycle. DataSite products include DataSite Intelligence, Pipeline, and more. Their products help DataSite achieve their mission of empowering the deal making community to work smarter and faster.
During our time at DataSite, we worked with the productivity engineering team. This team listens to engineers' needs and provides them with the best processes, tools, onboarding. Sorry about that. insights, and support through feedback loops and pertinent data so engineering can deliver stellar products to data site clients.
Yeah, so our projects at DataSite focused on internal processes and tools. One of our first projects involved time tracking for employees. The productivity engineering group is responsible for ensuring that employees submit their hours at the end of each month and that managers approve their employees' hours. Each month, the time tracking data is collected and needs to be analyzed so that people who forgot to submit or approve time can be notified. To make this data easier to read, we created a Python script that combines data from every month and identifies employees who have forgotten to submit or approve hours for multiple months. This data is then used by our team to send out reminders to those who often forget.
And we were also tasked with cleaning up DataSite's Confluence space. Confluence is a workspace that allows team members to share documents and knowledge efficiently. Many pages in DataSite's Confluence space contained outdated or irrelevant information, so we researched and developed automation to clean up unused information. This project challenged us to think about the potential negative impacts of automation and forced us to find solutions that mitigate these negative impacts.
Additionally, we researched how to rename channels in Slack, a messaging system used by DataSite. There are hundreds of Slack channels in DataSite's workspace, including fun social channels that employees use to connect with each other. The problem with these social channels, however, is that they're extremely hard to find as they get buried in all the other channels. So we created a Python script that renames all the social channels to a proper naming convention.
To further clean up DataSite's Slack workspace, we worked with the legal team to develop a message retention policy. To comply with the new message retention policy, we are developing a script to aid the process of deleting Slack channels that have been inactive for 1 year. And finally, we used many learning and development platforms to sharpen our programming skills and to learn more about computer science topics like AI and ML. Some of the platforms we used included Pluralsight, O'Reilly, Codecademy, and MongoDB University.
And then here are some highlights of our time at DataSite.
One thing we enjoyed was attending many office-wide social events, ranging from ice cream socials to virtual jigsaw puzzle parties. We loved getting to meet people from different departments at these events.
In addition to meeting coworkers at social events, we also had the opportunity to meet with subject matter experts to learn more about DataSite and their products. These meetings allowed us to connect with executives and other interns at DataSite, and we are so grateful we were able to attend these meetings.
Another highlight from this summer was attending the monthly Women in Tech event. In July, we listened to guest presenter share her experience in the circus. She explained how the circus gave her the opportunity to spread awareness about domestic violence.
And throughout the summer, we were able to spend lots of quality time with our team and learn more about how the productivity engineering team works with other departments and different tools to accomplish their goals. It was really interesting to learn about what projects they are working on and also share our own progress on our projects.
In addition to the many social events, we also attended workshops to strengthen our skills in MongoDB, a database program that DataSite is beginning to use. Overall, we had an amazing time this summer, learning new things and meeting new people.
After such an amazing experience, we'd love to take a moment to thank the people who made this possible. First, we'd like to thank Minnesota Aspirations in Computing for giving us this wonderful opportunity.
Next, we would like to thank the productivity engineering team, Peg, Heather, and Victor. They show us what it means to be a true professional, someone who cares about their team, supports and helps their peers, puts in their best effort, and isn't afraid to speak up.
We would also like to thank everyone at DataSite for welcoming us to the company and sharing lots of ice cream with us.
Lastly, we would like to thank our families and Ariel's hamster Graham for their endless support.
That's wonderful. Wow.
Well, that was amazing. Thank you so much, Aaliyah and Ariel. This is a classic example, folks, of the show must go on. Aaliyah's in an airport. She was, using that mute button just wonderfully. Way to go. And I just want to congratulate the two of you on an excellent presentation and just a wonderful internship experience. Thank you again, DataSite.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you. All right, so now we're going to move on to our next intern presentation, and that is Laja Aki with the Minnesota Twins.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Lasya Aki. I'm a rising senior at Wayzata High School, and I've been interning with the Minnesota Twins this summer in the business system department in technology, which is responsible for a lot of internal company apps. And I've been learning a lot technically and non-technically this summer. Technically, I've used TypeScript and React as part of a full stack framework to help develop apps this summer. I'm learning about the app building process, especially in a company sense. Previously, I've participated in experiences like Technovation, where you build the entire app with your team and everybody does everything. But here it's a little different, I found. Somebody is responsible for the data, somebody makes the API, and somebody else codes the front end parts. But I still found it a really collaborative environment because I got to talk to everybody about what they do and even do some of it myself. In my time here, I've been learning how to code using this stack. I've updated existing apps, and I've even created my own app. Creating my own app was really informative and fun because I was able to decide where to start, how the app looked, and how to break it into components. I really like the workplace because it's collaborative and flexible. For example, I was able to do a bit of work on the data side of things just because I asked to. It's also really easy to get a hold of people who aren't on your team and talk to them. For example, I had a really enlightening conversation about information security with our information security head, Rob. And I've learned all about the importance of data security and how it's important to everybody, not just people in technology. I also think it's cool to work at Target Field because of the responsibilities of the tech department. It's not just what you do daily, but you have to be responsible for all the different machines around the ballpark. For example, I've spent time where I've fixed and tested ticket scanners. I'm also learning a lot about working with the team in general, what types of connections you make, and working in an office. Currently, I'm a hybrid worker. I work about 3 days a week and I work in a cube. This environment is really nice because it can be really collaborative if you make it, but having walls allows you to get some quality work time done. In an office, though, there's a lot more standardization than I expected to be. For example, in a school project or a personal project, you can do pretty much whatever you want. But in an office, there are a bunch of standards that are subject to change at any time. On my team, there are also 2 other college interns who are way more knowledgeable and experienced than me. But I really like this environment because I'm treated the same and my values are, or my opinions are valued. So overall, this internship has definitely reassured my decision to major in computer science in college. I just want to say thank you to the Aspirations program and the Twins, and especially the business systems team.
Well, thank you so much, Laja. This has been wonderful. And I just want to congratulate you and say, go Laja. And then also, let's go Minnesota Twins. So thank you so very much. We appreciate that. I do have one quick question because I'm not sure if you indicated what's next in store for you. I may have missed that.
Well, what's next in store is senior year of high school and just continuing to explore technology and computer science.
Yeah, that's great. All right, super. All right, well, thank you so much. Let's move on to Stevia Aurora with SPS Commerce. So come on down, Stevia.
Of course. So I am going to share my screen. So hi everyone, my name is Stavia Aurora. I was an Aspirations intern on the Trading Partner and Development Engineering team at SPS Commerce. I just graduated from Maple Grove Senior High School this past spring, and I'm going to be attending Caltech next fall to major in computer science and possibly double major in business economics and management. This summer, I did a lot of work with a lot of different things on TPD, But one of the main things that I wanted to call out in this presentation is a service called Transformation Tester that I worked on. So Transformation Tester is a service used internally by SPS to transform data to different types. And I worked on both the front end and the back end of the service, which really gave me a lot of experience in a lot of different programming languages. So on the front end, I was able to do different bug fixes that were requested by customers or by people internally in SPS. And on the backend side, I was able to integrate asynchronous endpoints into the document testing service, which is the name of the backend of this product. Both of these experiences, again, gave me a lot of exposure into different programming languages, different environments, and overall were very interesting to learn about what it's like to actually be a developer. Some highlights from my summer was that I was able to sit in on an Amazon developer audit with the security team. And I also was able to sit in on a few sales calls with a sales engineer that I met with. And the 3 sales calls that I sat in on were with Cape Cod Pizza Cafe, XLT Ovens, and Lumbar Push Screws. So both of these experiences were just really interesting because they were outside of the technology organization at SPS, but I was allowed to broaden my experience and my exposure to how technology can impact SPS in all these different ways. And I really enjoyed these 2 experiences. So some key learnings I took away from my summer were technically, I learned a lot more in TypeScript, JavaScript, and Python. I got exposure into GitHub and VS Code, and I also got to use Azure DevOps and Jira for the first time. And some soft skills that I developed were communication, confidence, and time management, because these are all required to make a successful summer with networking and with doing the actual internship work, as well as communicating with other interns and other people on your team. So that was my summer at SPS. Overall, I had an incredible time and I learned so much and I made so many amazing connections that I hope to carry through to college and the rest of my life. I wanted to give a big thank you to Corey, my manager, Lauren for arranging all those amazing intern events, Brianne for being an incredible mentor on my team, even though she was an intern herself, Amy for bringing the Aspirations program to SPS, as well as the Aspirations program for giving me this experience. I also wanted to thank Sonny, Claire, and Jasmine for being incredible fellow Aspirations interns and being part of what made SPS what a great experience.
Well, Stavia, if you could take a second and let the group know, you have a lot of history with Aspirations in Computing. I believe you started applying as a freshman. Tell us a little bit about your awards over time. I think this is your second internship. Is that accurate?
Yes,
And
that's correct.
Yeah, tell the group what sort of things you took advantage of that has led now to you heading out the door now, for your next step.
Definitely. So I did start applying to the Aspirations program my freshman year. Then I was too young to get an internship, but I really took advantage of the different job shadowing and mentoring opportunities. And I made some really good connections within the Aspirations program. So then for my junior and senior year, when I reapplied and was able to win awards, last summer I interned at Land O'Lakes, which was an incredible experience and my first exposure into the corporate world. I really, really enjoyed it. And then that allowed me to come to SPS this year and really make the most out of my internship and learn the most that I could. And Aspirations has done a really good job of furthering my passion for technology, and it's really allowed me to make, again, just such incredible connections that are going to be really beneficial for my future.
That's great, Stavia. Thank you for that. And I just comment that one of Stavia's sisters, Studi, kind of led the charge for the family and was an honoree for at least a couple of years and involved in some internships as well. So it's a family affair in the Aurora household. So thank you, Stavia. That's wonderful. Thank you. We're going to now move on to Namisha Bora with Securian Financial.
Yeah, I'm just gonna share my screen real quick.
There you are. Welcome.
Can you see my screen okay?
We don't see it yet. Maybe try stop sharing and share again.
Sure.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, okay. My Zoom is lagging up.
Yeah, let's try that again because you did get a screen.
Okay. Um,
So we'll spotlight you again.
Yeah, it did finally show up. I just want to try it again.
There you go.
okay. Sorry, I think I'm gonna have to turn off my camera for this to show. I'm in a strange conference room right now, but
Yeah, that's just fine. Do what you need to do.
okay. So hi, everyone. I'm Namisha Bora. I am an incoming freshman at the University of Minnesota, Twin Cities. I'm planning to major in computer science, and I will walk you through my summer experience at Securian Financial. So for my role, I am an engineering analyst intern in the ET or enterprise technology field. I am on the treasury team in the finance department, and I'm working mostly on the software development and the back end side of things. This is a picture of all the other ET interns at Securian. And then during my time at Securian, I've done a variety of projects. So here, I'll just touch the surface a little bit. The projects that I took part with my team were mostly large scale and long term. So the two that I were a part of were the KGG Bank automation and the Tephra Access automation. Just a little gist. The KGG Bank receives data from the Federal Reserve database and it's updated periodically, but this is a very manual and inefficient process. So this project was just to automate that process by adding a few components like a Lambda and file share into the workflow. So my role in this project was that I helped in creating the architecture review and to present our permit to build, kind of like an elevator pitch to a few ET board members so that we have a green light to continue working on this project. And then the Tephra Bank is a similar style project in that we're trying to automate a currently manual process. So I was a part of the kickoff for this. And since this is a more long-term project, I was mostly there for a proof of concept, but I still learned a lot. And then, for individual projects, all of Securian is transferring their data to the cloud, which means all our software needs to be updated to align with this change. So for the AWS cloud migration, I got to transfer a lot of our code from on-prem to AWS as some beginner projects. And then I got to move into upgrading my treasury team's repositories from Java 8 to Java 17 software with some troubleshooting along the way. And then the skills and tools that I've learned to use include GitHub for updating code and fixing vulnerabilities. I learned to use Control-M for program and file share testing. And I've learned to navigate around JFrog Artifactory and AWS to access our company's repos. And then also, Securian is having a 2-week hackathon event called Command Control, where we find vulnerabilities and hack into a live website. So now that I've had some hacking experience, I actually find it pretty fun and entertaining, especially when our team is in first place. So hopefully we get that trophy. And then for takeaways and highlights, I'll start with the takeaways first. As someone who was considerably new to the working and corporate world, I think Securian set a very high standard for the industry experience. And I got a taste of what it's like to work in an office and with a team and make connections with a lot of people. And then, as I said before, I got to learn to use a variety of tools throughout my time here, and whether they were technical or soft skill related, I'm sure they will all be very helpful going forward. I got to improve my teamwork, team building, and communication skills at Securian too. And then some advice that I've gotten from many people was to expand your network. I've learned so much about other people's backgrounds and journeys, and not only does expanding your network make you more aware of other roles or aspects in your company, but you also never know when this connection can come in handy. And something I learned about Securian's work culture is that they just really care about each and every one of their employees. They're always hosting some fun event and make sure that we sign off at the right time to make sure we have the proper life and work balance. And I hope to carry out this advice in the future. And then for some highlights, I think the biggest highlight was definitely when we got to meet Securian Financial CEO, Chris Hilger. We had a meet and greet with him, and we got to see a slice of his life, which was for sure an experience like no other. These are all the interns this year. And then since my very first day, Securian has always gone the extra mile in treating their interns to new experiences. So here, this is when we got to go on a cruise along the Mississippi River, and they had some of the best tacos I've ever had in my life. So that was very fun. And then for those I wish to thank, of course, I want to thank the Aspirations in Computing program for giving such an opportunity to so many determined girls and women that would have otherwise been unimaginable for us. So thank you to Aspirations. And then, of course, I couldn't forget who actually welcomed me with open arms and gave me an experience like no other, Securian. I wanted to thank everyone on my team, Jake, Chris, Caitlin, and Irina, and everyone who supported me throughout these 10 short weeks. Not only did I gain so much knowledge and exposure to the real world, but I also made so many memories and friends that I won't soon forget. So thank you, Securian, for making this dream possible for me. Yeah.
Thank you, Namisha. That's wonderful. Love the slide deck. I do have a quick question, and that has to do with how you fit in. I'm assuming a lot of those interns were college interns, technology interns. How did you feel about your skill set and your readiness in relation to college students that are working at Securian? Okay, you're just a second. Yep, you're muted. Doesn't look like you are. Just a second here. Oh, there you are. You're reconnecting to audio. Not a good connection. All right, so what we'll do, Namisha, is when we'll come back to you, okay? No, that's okay. This is technology. This is how it works and doesn't work. This is why we need all kinds of wonderful new minds to take glitches like this and minimize them, right? All right, so do we have you now?
Yeah, I don't know what's happening.
Of course not. Okay, so Namisha, what's your thoughts about what I just asked?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the college students definitely next to them, I kind of feel not as adequate. I mean, they always have the upper hand, having 3 or 4 years of experience in technology and all the back end stuff. But I think everyone who I've met and made connections with has been very supportive and has been very open in helping me just be up to date and keep up with everyone else. And so everything that I've learned, I think is going to be very helpful. And even next to the college students, they were very impressed that high school students are able to be in such a big, profound company. So yeah.
That's great, Namisha. Well, I would just say thank you for your humble response, and Yes, I loved how you came around at the end, and because we don't want to undersell ourselves either and what we contribute and bring to a team. So thank you for what you brought, your energy and your knowledge and your skills that you have thus far. So way to go, Namisha. All right, we're going to move on now to Hannah Brass, who is with General Mills. Hi, Hannah.
Hi.
Good. We got good sound. That's great.
Okay, so I'm Hannah Brass and I worked with General Mills. So I was a part of D&T, which is digital and technology, and more specifically, enterprise architecture and strategy, which is basically like if there's a problem that we think can be solved with technology, we're the ones that kind of figure out, okay, how are we going to solve it? And like, how is this problem going to be like structured? Um, so for me, specifically what I did was so at General Mills, specifically within D&T, we have SharePoint and there's Confluence, so both are content management systems. And basically there's some content that's like on both. There's some that's like only on one thing and not on the other, that sort of thing. And there's not the best organization, or it's like not ideal. And so it can be really hard to find documents and PowerPoints, especially like if someone sent it through Teams or Outlook. And so basically what I was trying to do this summer is trying to figure out, okay, how do I make this easier to find? And so a lot of what I did was like, first I looked at Seismic, which is basically another content management system that's specifically for like sales enablement. And so we already use that in another part of the company, but we were trying to also use it within D&T. And so basically what we found was that it wasn't the best system for us because it would basically just be another content management system and wouldn't help very much with the organization. And so about midway through my internship, we pivoted towards doing like a market scan and trying to find a search solution. And so for me, I researched a bunch of different like search platforms like Google, Microsoft, but also ones that are more specific for workplace search. So like Elastic and Coveo were the ones that I researched the most. And then after that, I had to put together a recommendation for my manager, basically to say, okay, this is what I would recommend for the company. And then I did more research on the price of each and basically did a more in-depth comparison of Coveo and Elastic. And then now I'm actually putting together a project charter so that they can continue the project after I leave. So yeah, that's basically what I did. In terms of like highlights and key takeaways, so something that I really liked about General Mills was that there's this thing called coffee chats. And so basically the idea is you go to Caribou, which there's one in General Mills, and you meet with whoever you want. And then you can basically just ask them about their career, about their life, any questions you have about like their job right now. And so for me, since I'm probably going to be going into mechanical engineering, I reached out to a bunch of different engineers and I got advice about like college. I even reached out to some people who are alums from the college I'm going to, which is Purdue. And so then I was able to like get connections and expand my network, which was really nice. And I also really liked that there were a ton of other interns. So within D&T, there were probably around 15 or more interns. And most of them are college interns, except for me and the other aspirations. But like they were very accepting and welcoming and like very supportive. So I worked with one, Samuel, and he basically taught me a bunch of different things about how like business and technology kind of intersect. So if I had any questions about like specific terms, I could just go to him, which was really nice. And then other things I really enjoyed was like just the general like culture of the company, because I didn't know what to expect because I'd never worked in corporate before. But General Mills was very accepting. And because it's a food company, there was a lot of food that I could find like all over the building. And so I got to try out a lot of like new products and like products I just hadn't had because they're sold in other parts of the world. And of course, there are lots of fun events. Um, so yeah. And in terms of thank yous, I would definitely like to thank my manager, Carrie Martin. She was very supportive and like especially throughout the pivot. She's very encouraging. Then I would also like to thank the other interns I worked with, especially the aspirations interns. So Karen and Adiana, thank you. You're very good friends. And then I'd also like to thank Devin Sales, who connected aspirations to General Mills, and of course the aspirations program. This is a very enjoyable experience and definitely set a very high bar for internships. Yeah, and then in terms of what I'm going to be doing in the future, so I'm going to Purdue University, and we're actually driving down on Saturday. And I'm going to be doing mechanical engineering, but I definitely am going to be taking some computer science classes, which I'm excited for. And like this internship has definitely like made me think more about maybe taking more of those computer science classes when I have the chance. And thinking more about like other kinds of jobs I could do with a mechanical engineering degree, especially ones that deal more with technology.
Well, that was great, Hannah. Thank you so very much. And I just want to comment, you were wonderful as a storyteller, right? So you did a great job kind of laying it out. And for our audience to know that our students were provided all kinds of, ways that they could go about telling their story. So nicely done, Hannah. And we wish you the best going forward. Okay, so we're going to now move on to Sani Deshmukh. And Sani is with SPS Commerce.
Yeah, for sure. Let me share my screen. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, so my name is Sani and I am an aspirations intern at SPS Commerce this year. What you see in the background here today is the latest James Webb Telescope image. And what you see here is like millions and thousands of galaxies, right? So the first day of my internship, my mentor told me that's actually about how many server requests we get in our SPS Commerce data center. So as I mentioned, this year I was part of the network and data center engineering team at SPS. This was my second year at SPS, and last year I was on the assortment team. And now this year with the new team came with a new set of platforms that I had to familiar myself with in the beginning. So I used platforms like VMware, which is a tool that manages virtual machines on the servers in our data center. Then I was also able to familiarize with Rubrik, which is another virtual machines management platform. I also used UCS Manager and Pure Storage, which are all network engineering software tools that help kind of maintain all the networks and routers in SPS Commerce and our offices abroad. Finally, I used tools like Logic Monitor and Terminal to make sure everything was up and running and checking different channels and seeding into different networks. In the beginning of my internship, I was tasked with a week-long video training to get me introduced to all the concepts that were frequently talked about in our team. I first learned about redundancy, which is a practice to ensure that all the servers in our data centers are running constantly, and that makes sure that all the websites are loading and all the services that SPS Commerce has to offer are available 24/7. The way redundancy works is by copying data and performing backups at regular intervals of time to make sure all the data is safe at somewhere around the cloud at any given point of time. Next, I learned about networking basics, including switches, routers, IPs, and firewalls. I was also lucky enough to work with some firewall management in Beijing, China, and we all know how that works with the government and stuff. So it was really interesting to see how we were able to run our firewall from Beijing, given the restrictions between the government. Finally, I also learned about virtualization, as I talked before, which comes with virtual machines, and how physical computers, like all of our laptops, are differentiated from our operating systems like Apple, Microsoft, and more. My project this year was planning an Ansible pipeline for kind of a DevOps approach to network engineering. Network engineering team at SPS, we've never used autonomous code infrastructure before, and I was kind of the first one to get started with this project. So I was not able to go far with it, but I definitely had the foundations built. So first of all, we had planning and installation of Ansible, and Ansible is infrastructure as code software that helps manage all the network related instruments like routers, switches, firewalls, everything in a centralized location. To begin, we built virtual machines with the cloud systems engineering team, and then moved on to Ansible installation process on the new virtual machine that was built. Finally, I was in the planning process, I configured a switch, which is a device like routers, and was able to connect it with the Ansible software to start building the infrastructure in our network engineering. These are kind of the examples of the playbooks which I wrote as part of the Ansible write-up. The first one was to change the switch ID. Every switch in everywhere has a unique ID associated with it, like an IP address. And this was a playbook that changed the ID of the switch in if needed. The second one I wrote was about changing and adding user passwords. This one is kind of like what we do every time when we forget our passwords. You go in, verify your credentials, and then move on to change your password, except instead of doing this a physical way, this is kind of a centralized way using Ansible to save and add new passwords every time a new user is added. This is an example of a playbook after it is run. You can see that there is no like GUI, which is the graphical user interface that shows what's going on. Here, you can just see like changed and okay. This means the changes have been performed and everything has been run smoothly without any failures. This was a really satisfying screen to see after like weeks and weeks of troubleshooting. So I'm really glad we got it to work out, even if it was kind of towards the end of my internship. Finally, a highlight experience of my internship here was the DC lab training that we did with returning interns this year. In this experience, I got to have more teamwork with other interns, and then a better understanding of company, what SPS Commerce does, their importance in the retail network, and how each team in SPS Commerce has a very important and unique role to offer. Also, this little penguin here was also a highlight of my experience because it's a Linux logo, and I got a ton of Linux experience this year along with command line while running Ansible. For future plans, I'm going to Caltech this fall, majoring in computer science and aerospace engineering with another amazing intern here, Stavia. And I would, at the end of the internship, I would really like to thank my manager, Michael, my mentor, Jay, my coworker, Joe, and Lauren for making this internship an amazing experience once again, as it's my second year here. I also want to thank the network and data center engineering team because they really helped me smooth into their work and really answered all and any questions I had ever. Thank you so much to this program and Russ and Amy for organizing it for SPS and many other amazing women like us who are interested in technology. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. That's just wonderful. Really appreciate it. And I was struck by the photo that you showed there at the end. And there were other current interns and previous aspirations interns in that photo, which is just super cool to see. So thank you, Sandy. And this is just a quick question about high school. You went to Eden Prairie High School. It looks like it has had a big hand in preparing you for technology. What would you like to say about that?
Yeah, I did not know about my interest in computer science until I took the computer science classes in high school. So I think Eden Prairie does a really good job in offering a CS kind of a pathway. We start with the regular AP CSP, AP Java classes, and then we go on to more advanced and specialized courses like iOS, cybersecurity, and more. So I think that really helped me kind of keep my streak in computer science classes and go ahead with it. So it really a big thank you to all the teachers and computer science teachers at Eden Prairie High Schools for making that happen.
Yeah, way to go, Eden Prairie teachers. That's just great. Thank you, Sandy. Appreciate that. All right, well, we're soon to get into the second portion, but before we get into our advice and suggestions from our employers, our providers, we have one more presentation, and that is Claire Dixon, also with SPS Commerce.
Great. Just let me know that I'm sharing my screen. Cool.
Yep, you're good.
All right, so I'm Claire Dixon. I am the intern for the security team at SPS Commerce. My project this year was working on the Secure Score project. So the Secure Score, an email gets sent out to every employee about how secure that they've been. And my project is to automate the process of calculating these secure scores. This automation will save hours of work, grabbing the data of each user and calculating the scores for them, instead of having to go in manually and grab every single user CSV from each resource. From the Secure Score, like I said earlier, like an email is sent out to every employee at SPS, and it tells them how secure that they've been. This score includes MFA, security training, reporting phishing emails, and more. So the importance of a secure score, it helps keep awareness within the company of how secure an individual is being. It's also very important because it kind of creates a competitive kind of game between teams of, hey, I had this secure score, mine is better than yours, and then you're going to want to be better next time. It also allows people to see kind of, oh, this person has had a low secure score for a while. It's possible that they're a security risk. The two scripts that I mainly worked on were GoFish and Office 365. The data that we wanted from GoFish was if they've opened a phishing campaign email, if they clicked the link for it, and especially if they've submitted data for it. And then I also worked on Office 365, which was more about the reporting side of those phishing emails for if a user has reported a phishing email in the past, as well as the organization's secure score. Some blockers that I had with just the scripts was just access and then documentation. My key kind of takeaways, as well as kind of highlights, I got to use Python, which was sort of a new experience as I've mainly used Java for school projects and for robotics. And then I got to learn a lot more about just a role in security, which is very important to me as I'm going to be attending the University of Wisconsin-Platteville for cybersecurity. So this really solidified that this is what I want to be doing with my future. As well as I learned a lot more about APIs and the variations between them and what data that you can get from them. And then I'd like to give a quick thank you to my manager, Rob, who upon getting onto this call immediately claimed that he was a hacker. So thank you for that, Rob. I would also like to thank Katie, Tori, Caroline, and Lauren for just an amazing experience. And I'd like to thank SPS as well for just giving me such a fun summer.
Well, that was wonderful, Claire. Thank you so very much. And seems to me you have a little family history too.
Well, my mom is here. Hi, Mom. Wave to the camera.
Yes, she is. So tell us a little bit about the importance or the influence that parents provide in terms of helping with career direction and experiences. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Your perspective.
I would say that my mom has been very involved in tech for a long time. From starting off from when my sister was presented with the option of doing robotics, and she was like, that's only for boys. And my mom was like, no, we're all doing this now. We are all going to do this robotics thing, and you will be there. So she really from a young age wanted to show us that like women can do kind of like exactly whatever they want to do. And she brought us into that world of just like technology and programming from a very young age, as well as just showing us opportunities such as aspirations in computing that just have wonderful programs.
Yeah, thank you for that, Claire, and way to go, Anne. And I would just say to Claire and every other student in this room, now your responsibility and your opportunity is to encourage and support younger students, like you were supported, like you've been supported. So thank you so much, Claire, for your time here today. And what we're going to do now is we're going to take just a little break from our presentations, and we're going to have providers. If we could get the whole screen on, that would be great, Lauren. And by the way, I want to recognize Lauren Loeffler with SPS Commerce, who's helping me in the background, make sure everyone's spotlighted and that we are kind of flowing here today, hopefully well. All right, so I think what we'll do is we'll have folks just raise your hand, some of our providers, and I'll call on you. And this is the chance for us to just informally, provide some advice and suggestions for our interns going forward.
Hey,
like
Russ, is there a chance before we jump into that, could we have our Land O'Lakes interns present? I know they didn't have a chance to go say anything about their summer.
They're going to have that opportunity if they can stick around in the second half.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to make sure.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, they're on the list. We have 7 more presentations. And so, yes, you'll be hearing from them as well. All right, so Peg, got your hand up?
Yes, I'm talking through the audio at Ariel's computer, so hopefully you can hear me okay.
Yeah, we can see you too. Yep, and your voice is just great. Yep.
Awesome, very good. Well, first I wanted to say Ariel and Aaliyah, they're brilliant right from day one. They've been doing things above and beyond what we've asked them to do. They bring so much innovation and intelligence and just great thinking to the work that they've done. So one thing I want to say as words of advice is like, remind yourselves and each other how brilliant you are. Just keep remembering that. So I think that's super important to do because, things can get intimidating in certain circumstances, or it can be easy to forget the super wonderful things about ourselves sometimes. So you both are brilliant. Yes, remind yourselves of that and help each other remember that as well. So that's piece of advice 1. Second one is to think about creating like a little mini board of directors for yourself, like a personal board of directors. So, if you think about a company has a board of directors and every person on that board brings a certain strength to the board, think about who you want to have for your own personal board of directors in your life. So for instance, I have colleagues at work that I think about as the people that I want to run things by, when I have something that I'm struggling with or something that a challenge that I want to take on. So I have some people that will fulfill the aspect of like being brutally honest with me. And then other people who are going to be my cheerleader, and others who will, provide like a certain other, role or offer me something. So create like a little mini board of directors, and then, have those folks like with you so that, you have a crew with you in whatever it is that you're doing. So couple words of advice there.
Yeah, thank you so much, Peg. That's great. Others. Don't be bashful, providers. We need you. Oh, Amy Patton, SPS Commerce, way to go.
Hi, everyone. We have a few people from SPS here, but I figured I'd just say a few things. Peg had some great advice there, and I would add, you're doing awesome work. You're learning a lot. There will come times, in your career in college that you might hit a failure. I know I've failed many times in my life, and make sure that you don't take that as a stopping block, but instead as a piece of information for how to continue to grow. Failure is how we learn and how we improve ourselves, and it's not a representation of not being able to continue on. So, and then the other piece of advice I would give is, you've met some really wonderful people this summer that you need to keep those connections alive. The networking is so crucial in going forward in your professional career. So make sure that you don't lose those connections, that you touch base every now and then and make use of them.
Yes. Thank you, Amy. And I'm sort of reminded of the fail fast things I hear about even software development or design of how a team is working together. So, can you elaborate on that failure part? Because I assume it's, like you fail, but you don't let that consume you, right?
Yeah.
That you're learning from that. So tell us a little bit more about that, Amy.
It can be easy to take a failure as a personal representation of not being able to do it and to stop what you're doing, but it's really information on how you need to maybe tweak the way you're doing something, or that particular way of doing it didn't work and maybe another way will. And sometimes, failure is a great way to know what can work in the future. And you talked about fail fast, and that's something I've heard a lot of in my career, is like, if you're going to fail, like make sure you go after it and fail fast, but then keep moving, right?
Yeah.
Go around that and keep going.
Progressing. That's great. And Peggy, I think you had something to add to that or reinforce.
Yeah, I mean, and Heather's up for put this in the chat, which is kind of one of our mottos, is like fail early, fail often. And it really goes along with agile software development, because you
Right.
put something out there and you get feedback on it right away. And if you do it in small increments and you do it early enough, you want that failure because you want to know where you should be going next. If you try to build a perfect thing and you spend all this time and you kind of guard it and you're secretive about it, and then you big bang throw it out there, it might not at all match what was asked for. There might have been changes between that time. So fail early, fail often, get feedback on it. And I love how Amy put it, like, it's like an information point. When you fail, just take it as information and then keep going, and you iterate and you change it. And that's how you're guided along the way.
That's super. Thank you, Peg. So what we have time for one last bit of advice from any of our providers. Anyone else out there?
Yeah, I can go real quick. One
Amanda,
thing I
that's
always,
great.
one thing I always like to say is that you're never stuck. So even when you get to college and you pick a major, maybe a couple years in, you don't love it. You can always either switch majors, you can graduate, you can start in a company, you can move different roles. There's so many people that I work with in IT who don't have an IT background and just kind of learn on the job. So never be afraid and think you're stuck. There's always so many different options to, do personal learnings, development, whatnot. So yeah, that's what I would say.
And Amanda, thank you for that. Remind people what company you're representing.
Yeah, definitely. I should have started with that. Hi, I'm at Land O'Lakes. I work in IT, and then I help coordinate the Land O'Lakes Aspirations Program.
Yeah, that's great, Amanda. Thanks so much. All right, folks. Well, let's stretch in place, right? Do your little body twist. We're almost there. We've got a few more presentations, so let's just stay focused. Make sure that we have your undivided attention. And so we're going to now hear from Jasmine Gary with SPS Commerce.
Russ, I'm not seeing Jasmine on the call. Maybe she
Jeff had to jump off. Yeah, thank you
Maybe.
for that. Okay. All right, so what we, anyone with SPS, with knowledge of Jasmine's schedule here?
I don't know that, but I will send her a message and hopefully she
That
can
would
hop
be-
on.
that would
I'll
be
do that
great.
right now. Yep.
Yeah, that's great, Lauren. And so what we will do is we will carry on and then maybe plug her in at the very end if that should present itself. That's great. So Adiana Kirkala. And Adiana is with General Mills.
Hi, my name is Adiana Kirkula. I was an intern at General Mills under the digital and technology team this year. I will be a freshman at Savannah, Georgia State University, and I would like to major in cybersecurity. For my internship, my project was to renovate a place we call the lab, which is like on the 10th floor, which is just a space where everyone could come and just be comfortable. My specific task was to create a VR station and create a corporate business account because in order to use the VR station, you have to have a Meta or Facebook account. So I just had to create a corporate account and get to know the VR. And another task that we also had was for a 3D printer, which my partner, which was a college intern, Miriam, focused on. So we got that, or we didn't get it fully done, but that's what I'm still working on currently. Being at General Mills was really nice. Everyone was extremely friendly. We got a lot of free food like almost every week. There was a lot of gifts. We had a lot of social events where we'd just get to know other people. Another thing Hannah mentioned, another aspiration intern at General Mills, were the social events or like chat time at Caribou. Those were really, really nice. I talked to a couple people in the cybersecurity team, and I got a lot of information on that, what classes I should be taking when I enter college, and just how to, just the path that I should take in order to accomplish what I want to accomplish in the future. Some thank yous I would like to give are to my manager, Ryan Horton, and Tim. They were really, really supportive during this whole process. During this internship, I had another job, so it was like kind of difficult managing both of them, but my managers were really flexible with my time and I was still able to get stuff done with both jobs. I'd also like to thank Hannah and Karen, the other aspiration interns at General Mills. They were really good friends. We would like walk around the building for like hours and just talk, and it was really nice. The college interns, I'd like to thank them also. They were really accepting of us and they always helped us. Miriam, my partner, although we both had different tasks, she was still very welcoming and helping with me. I'd also like to thank Alyssa, Nishan, and Devin, who helped us transition from Aspiration to General Mills. They were really great. And then I also like to thank the Aspiration Company as well for setting me up with a very good company.
So, so Adiana, thank you so much for your presentation and your remarks. And I just want to comment, now you're the second honoree that has talked about a career in security. I think Claire was earlier indicated that she's heading off in that area. And let me just say this, that division of information technology, that aspect of information technology needs people just like you. That's all I'm going to say. It's in dire need of diversification in the security space. And so way to go. And we wish you really the very best with that, Adiana. You're welcome. All right. So next, we're going to invite Sabrina, or I should say Sabrine Conacher. I hope I said that properly.
Yeah, this is Brain. Yeah, okay, I can share my screen. Okay.
And we're seeing it, Sabrina.
Sorry, what?
We're seeing your presentation slides, so thank you.
Okay, sounds good. I can. Okay, well, hi everyone. My name is Sabrine. I worked at Land O'Lakes this summer, and I was on the Dairy Foods IT sales and marketing team. So my role in the team was a Scrum Master, and so with my role, I learned a lot about Agile methodology and the whole Scrum process in general. And so kind of my day-to-day, or even just learning about the whole process of what a sprint is, which are 2-week work periods, or for our team, it was for 2 weeks. It involved with me communicating with both the business side and the development side. So for instance, I would start off with receiving stories, which are kind of like assignments or just tasks given from the business side. And when I receive them, I always have to make sure that I got all of the business requirements clarified, asking any of those follow-up questions, and making sure that I truly understand those business asks. And then with those tasks, I created those stories in our in DevOps and made sure to present it in our planning and in our planning meetings and to the rest of the team. Then next, I would assign and communicate with our offshore development team in our stand-up meetings, and also just making sure any of their questions are answered, and also being prompt with the comments and the whole communication process. I would also have to ask for business feedback with each of our stories, asking for any additional requirements or even mid-sprint additions like stories that I would have to add onto the backlog. And then lastly, I would explain those added requirements to our development team and then make sure we complete those stories in time for our next sprint, or if needed, also move them to the next sprint. Along with a Scrum Master role, I worked a little bit in Salesforce. And so Salesforce is a customer relations management tool. Then in our team, we used it a lot with our website. So I'll just give a little bit of an overview of my team. So my team was a sales and marketing IT team. So I worked a lot with the Land O'Lakes websites, and we support all of them. So any of the butter websites that you've seen, or like cheese sauces, cheese spreads, all of that we support. And so Salesforce also supports those sites by helping with any, for instance, request forms or with the sales and marketing aspects. And so in Salesforce, I completed the beginner trail mix, which is kind of like the basics of Salesforce. So it was a Salesforce training, and I learned about different aspects of Salesforce, including the coding language, which is Apex. With this training, I also gained a lot of hands-on experience, and I was able to apply it to some of our actual stories that we had in our sprints. So for instance, here is something called the GDI sample request form, which this form was used for customers to fill out, and they can request samples of various products that they would like. And so what the change was needed was that we needed to alter the due date for this form, and so, or when the product be received. And so the Salesforce lead on my team just gave me this flow, which is what you see in this picture, and told me to try to figure out how I can achieve this task. And so after observing this flow, which is actually much larger than this is much larger than this. This is the zoomed in version. I figured out that I had to create some type of formula and then implement it somewhere here in this flow. So that was a huge learning curve for me, just kind of being super confused for the first few hours and days that I worked on this, and then later being a lot more satisfied after achieving it. In the meanwhile, I also conducted a lot of informational interviews. So I conducted around 15 informational interviews where I reached out to various individuals across the company and to my manager on who she might think would be a good fit for me to talk to. I learned a lot more about like the company roles and just the different aspects that the corporate role entails. And I learned a lot of potential education to career paths, because each of these employees have such a different journey. And it was so interesting learning about how they transition from college to the corporate role. And then some of the key learnings that I had were, well, first off, the technical skills, such as learning about Microsoft applications, getting used to Azure DevOps, and also just being a Scrum Master for the team. And on the Salesforce side, I learned the coding language Apex, or just having the basic experience in it. With soft skills, I learned that emotional intelligence, time management, and being detail driven were all super crucial for my role as a Scrum Master, as I had to learn how to talk to both business professionals and developers. And it's very different talking to both of them. And so I had to adjust how I spoke with them and making sure that the whole process within the sprint was smooth and making sure I had efficient communication. And then lastly, I really learned that seeking out these opportunities to learn more is so crucial within my internship. So that would include like asking new questions, conducting the interviews that I mentioned before, and just exploring any applications that Land O'Lakes uses, and really understanding the potential opportunities and experiences that I could partake on. And so I just wanted to also give a big thank you to my team, my whole sales and marketing team, and also to my manager, Michelle Hermanson, for being so willing to listen to my questions, listen to any clarifications that I had, and being just, again, willing to answer them. And another big shout out to Nancy and Amanda for making this whole internship experience so wonderful, just setting up the coffee chats that we had, or just being so responsive with anything that we had to ask about. I also wanted to thank the Harinis Vinod and Harini Sendakumar for just being such great buddies to talk to at lunch, being there to listen to any of our issues, or just being great friends. And I never thought that I could meet such amazing people in such short amount of time. And lastly, thank you to the Aspirations program for providing me with this opportunity. And I know a lot of high schoolers may not want to spend their whole summer working, but this was definitely a summer I'd never want to replace. And it just opened a lot of new doors for me. So thank you so much to the program.
So Sabrine, thank you so much for your compliments and your note of thanks to the Aspirations program. We appreciate it. It's easy for us to do this because we have such great outcomes like you're describing, Sabrine. Now you're tell us, you're a senior going back, you're going to go back to your senior year. Mm-hmm. What's in store technically for you from a technology, skill development standpoint? What's in store?
Yeah, so this upcoming year, I am taking on iOS class offered by my high school. So I will have to develop an iOS application and work with a local business with that class. I am also planning to work on a side project, actually with Jasmine Gary, and where we're going to communicate with the middle school technology teachers and figure out a way we can implement some sort of hackathon, or just a way that we can engage more middle schoolers with technology.
Hey, way to go, Sabrine. That's wonderful. Thanks so much.
Yeah,
we're going to go to now a video. We have one of our students, Meileng Mathur, who is unable to be here today, but provided a video clip for us to view. So if we can get that loaded, Lauren, that would be great.
Department, and I work on the annuity SWAT. My name is Meileng Mathur, and I'm interning at Securian Financial this summer. I'm part of the Enterprise Technology Department, and I work on the annuity SWAT team. This summer, I was responsible for taking some of the team's web pages and updating them to be compliant with Securian's latest branding guidelines. Every so often, Securian releases guidelines surrounding how they want their web pages to look and feel, and these changes include modifications to design elements and components that the users interact with, as well as usability improvements. My job was taking the outdated web pages and re-implementing features to make sure that all of the components on the page were up to date with Securian's latest standards. On that same note, I was also in charge of making sure that the pages I was updating were compliant with the Web Configuration Accessibility Guidelines, which is essentially a checklist of best practices put out to all web developers to make sure that websites are accessible to people who use screen readers, keyboards only, and other voice-over technologies. I definitely learned a lot from my work. I've done a bit of web development in the past, but these projects helped me gain a more solid understanding of the languages that I was using. Additionally, this was my first time programming in a collaborative setting, and I got to see what sort of tools and systems the team used to make sure that everything was running smoothly when multiple people were involved in the development of a product. For example, I got to learn about GitHub branches, code management, testing code in different environments, and also experience the testing and feedback process. I also learned that when you have code that's been sitting there for a while or code that's been worked on by multiple people, sometimes you have to go and ask around a little to see how one section of code is affected by another section of a code that maybe a different team owns. And there's a lot of communication involved in making sure that all of the code is working together as it should. Also, I was introduced to the Agile process, which is a mode of organization that a lot of software development teams use to ensure that they're completing tasks efficiently. I got to attend meetings and see how my team manages sprints, prioritizes the backlog, and manages stories. So kind of seeing how that corporate experience applies to programming was very eye-opening for me. Lastly, I would like to thank everybody on my team, especially my team leader, job coach, and app developers, for taking such good care of me and helping me with all the questions and challenges that came up while I was working on my projects this summer. You all have your own unique pieces of wisdom and advice, and I've learned so much from talking with each and every one of you. Aside from helping me and teaching me about computers, you made me feel welcome from day one and ensured that I was always getting the support and help that I needed. Thank you for making me look forward to every day in the office. I'm going to miss you all a lot.
You're muted, Russ.
Thank you for that. I want to thank Mei Ling for their presentation, and I just want to comment that it's an example of getting the job done in whatever way is possible, right? Nice job uploading it to YouTube and basically being able to be with us here today in this space. All right, so Karen Nakamura is next with General Mills.
Hi, I hope can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm Karen Nakamura. I'm a recent graduate from Math and Science Academy, and this fall I'll be moving to Boston to attend MIT, and I'm planning to study CS. And just project background, so General Mills, we do our Wi-Fi through a thing called access points. And I worked with the General Mills infrastructure operations network team. And so my specific project was Wi-Fi. And so since Wi-Fi is like really important to General Mills, since all of our office work, we need Wi-Fi and distribution production, it all runs on Wi-Fi. So for example, to illustrate how important it is, if in a large production plant, if the Wi-Fi goes down for an hour, there can be up to $250,000 in loss. So we really want the Wi-Fi to be reliable. So what my project was upgrading the access points in the sites globally, as General Mills is a global enterprise, and as well as document and create deployment and testing strategies for these upgrades, and create a dashboard for keeping track of where we're at through this year-long upgrade. And starting off, General Mills had a great supportive system for us interns of giving us this project that we were in charge of from start to finish. And so I was able to put in my own creativity. I determined which platform we would use for the dashboard and everything. So now after the 10 weeks, I was able to upgrade multiple of the North America General Mills sites, including the world headquarters here, as well as I created a real-time compliance reporting on Grafana, and I used multiple technologies such as Docker containerization and Kubernetes, as well as SQL and the Maria database to pull data and then visualize the compliancy on a Grafana dashboard. And coming into this internship, I knew nothing about infrastructure and I never had any professional tech experience. And I think General Mills and especially my networking team and my manager really did an amazing thing of just placing me in a position where I was challenged, I was pushed out of my comfort zone, but I never felt lost. So it was just a really supportive community that I was able to be part of this summer. And adding on to what Hannah and Adiana said, those coffee chats, the coffee chat culture at General Mills is amazing. And like the other aspirations intern, they were able to go and talk to mechanical engineers as well as cybersecurity. And for me, I didn't really have a clear goal or clear career that I wanted to pursue. So I kind of went all over the place from tech, finance, business, and management. And it really was amazing to hear these different sectors. And I think through this entire internship, it allowed me to confirm my interest in technology as well as create these seeds of interest in finance as well as management, which I want to continue to develop and cultivate throughout my college and further on in my career. And finally, I just want to thank my manager, Steve Long, as well as Devin and Nishan and Alyssa for helping us onboard into General Mills and connecting us with the aspirations, and also aspirations for setting up this amazing internship opportunity for all of us students, which if it weren't for our for the aspirations community, I don't think I would have had this opportunity ever again. So I'm so thankful for you guys. And I think I've grown so much throughout this entire summer. And I'm so excited to continue learning and leverage what I've gained and was exposed to through this internship in the future.
So Karen, thank you so much for your warm description of your summer experience. Thank you very, very much. And of course, our great gratitude to Land O'Lakes, a long-time internship provider for aspirations in computing. We'll now turn our attention to a couple of Harinis who are with Land O'Lakes, and we'll start with Harini Senthilkumar. Come on down.
There it is. Okay, sorry, can find the unmute button. Yeah, so don't want to make things too confusing. I'm Harini Senthil Kumar. We have one more in this internship. And like a couple others, familiar faces, I also graduated from Eden Prairie High School. I'm going to be attending UC Berkeley next year to study environmental science and economics. So the team that I was assigned to in this internship was the Truterra Dairy Sustainability team. So my position was kind of a mix of sustainability and IT. On the more technical side, a lot of what I did was working with the development of the Truterra livestock application. So they started developing that this summer. So I was able to kind of be there for that process. And one of the things that I was able to help with was the Veracode bug scans. So we were able to look at the bug reports, and I worked with the development team on figuring out some root cause analysis methods on how we can basically decode those bugs. And then another thing I was able to help with, my main project was working on the user access request for the application. So like that whole workflow of how can different, both internal and external users get access to the application and its tools. But beyond that, I think what I really found helpful for me was being able to explore my interest in sustainability. So Land O'Lakes has a lot of intersections with sustainability and economics and IT, which is exactly what I wanted to work on this summer. So kind of a similar story to everyone with those coffee chats, really learning about things like ESG score and how things like carbon footprint and pollution and water usage are analyzed through data, and as well as the financial side of that. Just that whole relationship was really interesting to me. So being able to have coffee chats with people and learn about that was really helpful. And since I'm going to be studying that in the future, I think it kind of helped me confirm that and learn more. But yeah, so I want to thank Aspirations in Computing, of course, for allowing me to explore that, and as well as my manager, Dao Lee, and Amanda and Nancy for coordinating us with Aspirations in Computing and just getting us settled. And then my fellow interns, Harini and Sabrine, and everyone at Land O'Lakes. But yeah.
Thank you, Harini. And I'm wondering if you could introduce your peer, another Harini that works with you.
Yeah, so Harini Vinod, are you here? Yeah.
Hi. Hi. Okay, so I'm Harini Vinod. It's been very interesting having another Harini in the exact same internship. But I'm a rising senior at ECU High School, and I also worked at Land O'Lakes as a sales and marketing intern with more of a corporate role where I kind of focused on all the different departments instead of just dairy like Sabrine. So during my time here, I undertook various projects, mainly comprised of using Salesforce to streamline customer interactions and synthesize complex data, which aided in a lot of decision-making processes and enhanced overall sales efficiency. I was given access to several like sandbox and developer environments within Salesforce where I created change sets, flows, reports, fields, and customized page layouts for other departments within Land O'Lakes, specifically for our member relations department where I enhanced a lot of their Salesforce processes. I also very recently got involved with web redesign work for our main Land O'Lakes Inc. website, where I'm currently doing a lot of research on how brand purpose and design strategies impact like job applications, customer experience, sales, etc. But unfortunately, I won't be able to see that through because we're ending next week. But another major part of my internship was also, like, as the other interns were saying, the plethora of networking opportunities that I got through our weekly coffee chats, similar to the General Mills ones. At these coffee chats, me, Harini, and Sabrine would be able to go in person every week and meet with a different employee. In fact, our very first day at work, we got to meet Teddy Bekele, who is actually the CTO of the company. So that was an amazing experience. And through these chats, I was able to establish several meaningful connections with professionals across various different departments, gaining valuable insights into the industry's inner workings and learning from just all these amazing people's experiences. And speaking more about like highlights and takeaways, I was very fortunate to make several. Firstly, the main one was just the exposure to real world marketing and sales operations was very enriching since I gained practical insights into the field, which greatly advanced my overall business acumen because I've never really had like a corporate job. So it was really nice just getting that exposure. And secondly, conducting the in-depth research allowed me to better understand like market trends and consumer behaviors, which enhanced my ability to contribute meaningfully to strategic discussions and also shaping kind of my interests for college major. And lastly, another highlight that I had was the opportunity to complete various courses on different topics, including several Salesforce trail mixes that Sabrine was kind of talking about as well, which deepened my understanding on the platform itself. And this also kind of paved the way for me to start looking into it even more. And once this internship is done, I'm also looking into maybe taking the Salesforce admin exam and getting certified. So finally, I'd also like to express my heartfelt gratitude to the entire Land O'Lakes team, and especially to my manager, Kathy Pearson, along with Shilpa Bohr, Nancy Yang, and Amanda Alameda for supporting me throughout this journey and giving me the responsibilities that help me grow in this position. And last but not least, I'm deeply thankful to the Aspirations program, Russ and Amy, for this amazing opportunity and giving a chance for women like me to explore technology.
Well, thank you, Harini. It's a pleasure. Thank you so very much for your presentation. And now we have wrapped up. I just want to comment to the group that this is on me, but I did hear from Jasmine Gary, who had left a message with me that she had a sore throat today, and today she could not present. So that's unfortunate, but we just want to, tip our hat to Jasmine as well as one of our summer interns. Congratulations to all of our 2023 interns. Well done today. Thank you to our audience for your attendance and support. Students returning to high school, you are highly encouraged to again apply for the 2023-24 Aspirations in Computing Award. Watch for the application season that opens in a few short weeks. Students heading off to college, we wish you deep success. I want to thank you all. Have a great remainder of the summer. We appreciate your attendance today. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, Russell.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very welcome.